Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class, the 8th of November, 2025. We're going to finish up what we started this morning with Daniel chapter 11, verse 24. We're going to break that down and explain it, okay, and make it more understandable, okay? Go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at and examine. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. If you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. We have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. If you want to help the channel support it along, move along, that too will be greatly appreciated. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of hosts. Okay? This channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel. Welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We have the current events, some need to know information. We'll open it up for anybody with any questions, comments, or any dialogue. And then we'll go into our topic for discussion, which is we'll be dealing with, let me see, the Pentagon had, I think they have the right to kill any American when they get ready to. We're going to look at that and see why that's being said. Then our scripture reading will be, like I said, Daniel chapter 7, verse 24. We're going to read that verse and then we're going to explain it. Then we'll pick a scripture, we'll break that scripture down, and then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, we pray unto the Lord our God, and we make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee and to those that keep his commandments. Okay. O Lord, hear this prayer and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary and thy people for your sake. O Lord, open thine eyes and incline their ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear and forgive. O Lord, hearken and do and defer not for thy own sake, for your people need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. With that being said, I'll read the Psalms. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 8, God's glory and man's honor. Okay, it's a Psalm of David. O Lord our God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength because of thine enemies, that thou mightest steal the enemy and the avenger. When I consider thy heavens, the works of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visited him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and thou hast crowned him with glory and honor. Thou made him to have dominion over the works of thy hands, and thou hast put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, yea, and all the beasts of the field, fowls of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passeth through the paths of the seas. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all thy earth. So, with the Christians, when we come to the Christian, this is one of the verses that he go to right here. That, like I was saying, when you understand what has happened with when they typology, Psalms is one of the main places they went to pull this off. We know that David is the Messiah, so they went in and they told us through these seminaries and things that they created that those are prophecies about JC. When they actually David will give prophecies about himself and about his relationship with the Lord of hosts. So it says right here, this is one of the verses, verses 4. What is man, right? Man, that thou art mindful of him. He's talking to the Lord of hosts. What is man that thou art mindful of him? And the Son of Man that thou visited him. So they say the Son of Man right here, JC, this is JC, he's the Son of Man. But if you go on to verse 5, thou hast made him a little lower than the angels and has crowned him with glory and honor. Like I said, what glory? You got all kind of glories. You got to know what glory you're talking about. This particular glory right here, let me show it to you. Go to Genesis. Okay, we're in Genesis chapter 1. Okay. And that's verse 26. Says, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowls of the air, and over cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Then you go back to the Psalms, and this is exactly who he's talking about. Mankind. That's mankind is, mankind is what he's talking about. Verse 6, thou hast made him to have dominion. That's what I just read. Over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet. All the sheep, oxen, yea, all the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passes through the paths of the sea. And then you go back, what I just read, verse Genesis 1:26. God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. It's the glory right here that he gave man over beasts, over other animals, and the beasts of the field, and the creeping things. So, like I said, what glory are you talking about? Okay, it's all kind of glory. So, with that being said, we'll go on to our current events. Here we go.
Agenda, where we bring you the untold stories shaping the future of Africa. Today, we dive into a bold and fearless message from Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traoré, a message directed at Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. It's a message that is challenging global powers, inspiring millions, and reshaping how Africa sees itself on the world stage. Listen carefully, because what you're about to hear is not just a speech. It's a declaration, a call to action, and a statement of African dignity. In the heart of West Africa lies Burkina Faso, a nation rich in history, culture, and resilience, yet no stranger to foreign interference and global politics. Its young and determined leader, Ibrahim Traoré, stood in the capital city of Ouagadougou and spoke words that would ripple across the continent and beyond. He began simply but powerfully. We are done staying silent. We are done bowing down. These words were not mere rhetoric. They represented the frustration, the courage, and the hope of millions of Africans who have endured decades, sometimes centuries, of exploitation, manipulation, and external pressure. A few days earlier, reports emerged claiming that Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, had warned African leaders to stay in line or face consequences. Whether he actually said these words mattered little. What mattered was the sentiment, a belief that African nations could still be threatened and controlled. But Traoré refused to be intimidated. Standing before cameras, journalists, and his citizens, He declared, "We are not your colonies. We are sovereign nations, and we will fight for our freedom with everything we've got." The atmosphere in that room was electric. Silence followed, a heavy silence that felt like the weight of history itself. Then he made it clear. Burkina Faso does not answer to Tel Aviv. We don't answer to Washington. We don't answer to anyone who thinks they can buy us or bomb us into obedience. This was more than a challenge to one world leader. It was a message to every nation that had ever attempted to exploit Africa's resources: gold, diamonds, oil, or fertile land, and to every country that believed African nations were mere pawns on the global chessboard. Traore's speech didn't stay in that room. Within hours, the video of his address spread across social media platforms like wildfire. On X, Telegram, WhatsApp, people watched, shared, and discussed. Young Africans in Mali, students in Guinea, farmers in Niger, activists in South Africa. They were all listening. They weren't just hearing a speech. They were feeling their own hopes, frustrations, and dreams being spoken aloud. Leaders like Mali's Colonel Assimi Goïta reposted it, while Guinea's Mamadi Doumbouya publicly voiced support. Hashtags like hashtag Africa will not bow and hashtag we stand with Traoré began trending. Across the continent, it became clear. This was more than a message. It was a movement. Africa was beginning to see itself as a united family, rather than a collection of isolated nations. Traoré spoke about the meaning of sovereignty, not as a word from a history book, but as a lived reality. Sovereignty means deciding who comes into our land, who uses our resources, and how we govern ourselves. He spoke of the Sahel Alliance, a partnership between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, designed to protect each other, share resources, and ensure that no nation in the region would be bullied or left vulnerable. "If you attack one of us, you attack all of us," he said. The history of foreign control in this region is long and painful. France, for decades, maintained military bases, controlled economies, and influenced politics in West Africa. But now, the Sahel nations are taking back control. Mali did it. Niger did it. Burkina Faso did it. And with leaders like Traoré, the momentum is growing. After Traoré's speech, the silence from Israel's government and Western media was deafening. No statements, no reactions, but that silence spoke volumes. They weren't used to African leaders standing up and challenging global powers so openly. Traoré's speech was not reckless. It was necessary. It reminded the world that African nations are not just here to survive. They are here to thrive, to build, to lead. Schools that teach African history, hospitals that serve local communities, economies that empower citizens. This is the vision he articulated for the Sahel Alliance and for Africa as a whole. And
yeah, so this right here is what I was talking about this morning, about the Nigerian Christian situation that the West is concocting. They have to find a way to shape this right here, like they did in the past, but they see how rapidly it's growing, and they have to find a way to go there, and they got to go in with force, like they did with what his name can't even think his name, got a blank spot. Over in Babylon when they went there and did the shock and awe. Saddam Hussein. So they came up with the lies on that and said that he had weapons of mass destruction. That was the way. They didn't give a damn if it was a lie or not, but they wanted the people, the global community, to give him an excuse for to go in there. And now they're doing this same thing right now with this Christian situation. So, like I said, I'm going to keep my eye on it. I'm hoping you guys do too, but we'll see how it unfolds. Okay. So, with that being said, here we go. And I also told you about what happened.
Roku self-serve ads platform.
What happened in Jamaica, right? According to what Pastor Manny said, and what we've been talking about over the last couple of years or so, they're gonna round everybody up, and they're gonna end up in Africa, right? So let's look at it. We saw what just happened with Hurricane Melissa, right? And what it done to Jamaica. And here we go.
That once bled for Africa's freedom, the same spirit that refuses to die. I have crossed no ocean, for the ocean can...
It's the same Abraham Tory right here. Now he's got a warning to Jamaica, right?
Not divide those who share one...
After the hurricane.
Heartbeat. When I speak to you, I speak to family. You and I are bound by the same story written in different tongues, a story of chains, resistance, and resurrection. You were taken from our shores and forced to sing songs in another man's language, yet your voice remained African. Even when they tried to erase your name, your rhythm kept our memory alive. From the drums of the Maroons to the hymns of Kingston, I have heard Africa's heartbeat echoing across the sea. But I must speak truth, even when truth burns. Jamaica, you are free in name, yet not free in spirit. The colonizer who once carried a whip now carries a pen. The empires that built fortunes from your ancestors' sweat now return as lenders and advisors, teaching you how to govern your own house. They tell you what is modern, what is democratic, what is acceptable. They tell you who your friends are and who your enemies must be. You see, they fear a Jamaica that thinks for itself. They fear a Jamaica that trades with Africa instead of borrowing from Europe. They fear a Jamaica that teaches its children their true history, not the one edited to glorify colonizers. Because when Jamaica stands with Africa, it exposes the great lie, that the descendants of slaves must forever serve the descendants of masters. I do not say this to attack your leaders, but to awaken them. A leader who cannot say no to the West cannot say yes to his people. The IMF does not come to save you, it comes to shape you. The loans they offer are not gifts, they are handcuffs made of gold. I call upon the youth of Jamaica, the dreamers, the thinkers, the builders. Your destiny is not to migrate in search of survival. It is to rise and rebuild where your ancestors fell. Do not let the world reduce your pride to entertainment, your genius to tourism, your culture to a brand. You are the keepers of a fire that once lit revolutions. Let that fire burn again, not in anger, but in creation. Jamaica, Africa is watching you, and Africa does not watch as a stranger. She watches as a mother, waiting for her children to come home, not by ships, but by purpose. The time has come to lift your eyes from the west and see the sunrise in the east, your true reflection, your true family. Brothers and sisters of Jamaica, when I look at you, I do not see a distant people. I see Africa, living and breathing on another shore. You are not an island forgotten by history. You are the echo of a continent's courage, the continuation of a struggle that began long before chains and...
So a week ago, they wouldn't have been trying to hear this, but the condition they in now, it sounds like a harp.
Bips, you are Africa's rhythm made flesh, Africa's pride wearing the colors of the Caribbean. When I speak to you today, I speak not as a politician, but as a son of the same pain and the same hope. I have seen how the world divides us. Africans here, Afro-Caribbeans there, African-Americans somewhere in between. But tell me, who benefits from this division? Certainly not us. The only hands that grow stronger are the same ones that once drew borders through our lands and through our hearts. They tell you Africa is poor, yet they steal her gold and diamonds. They tell us Jamaica is small, yet they drain her spirit through debt and dependency. Our enemies have never been our neighbors. Our enemies are those who profit from our separation. They fear the day the descendants of Africa, whether in Kingston or Ouagadougou, stand together and say, enough. Jamaica, your ancestors did not perish on those ships. They became seeds. From those seeds grew freedom fighters, dreamers, and artists whose voices reached back to Africa like a drumbeat calling home. When Bob Marley sang, Africa Unite, it was not poetry, it was prophecy. That unity must now become reality. But unity is not built on emotion alone. It is built on shared purpose. Africa is rising, not because of permission, but because of decision. We are breaking the chains of foreign domination, rejecting bases, and reclaiming our land. And as we do, we call to you, our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, join us. Let Africa and Jamaica trade knowledge, not just goods. Let our youth collaborate on technology, culture, and education, not just music and sport. Imagine a future where students from Accra and Kingston study under the same roof, learning African history from African voices. Imagine African companies investing in Jamaican agriculture, Jamaican engineers building renewable energy projects in the Sahel, our artists shaping one Pan-African identity the world cannot ignore. This is not a dream. It is a duty. We owe it to our ancestors who endured the unendurable, who crossed an ocean of pain so that we might live to finish their journey. We owe it to our children, who must inherit not the shame of division, but the pride of unity. Jamaica, Africa is not a place to visit. It is your home returning to your heart. Together we are not two lands, but one people. One ancestry, one destiny, and the time has come to live as one. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you the truth that the world hides behind polite diplomacy. The West never left Africa, it only changed its clothes. The colonial flags came down, but their hands stayed in our pockets. And they did not just steal our golden oil, they stole our confidence, our belief that we could survive without their permission. They use new weapons now, not guns, but agreements, not soldiers, but institutions. When the IMF, the World Bank, or other so-called development partners arrive with smiling faces and papers to sign, they bring chains, not change. They lend us our own wealth and call it aid. They buy our leaders.
So this is another situation. Keep your eyes on. Like I said, it's a roundup and already started. They started with so-called immigration, the ICE rounding up these illegal immigrants, and now we see where it's going. It's going right where the Pastor Manny said it was going. Okay. So with that being said, I have some need to know information here. I'm gonna play that. Okay, then I'll get some feedback. Okay.
Better about, what did they find after coming up and assessing, our health. Yes, back in 1998, we had Vanderbilt
So this is the Israelites that's in Demona over in Israel.
University and Meharry University out of Tennessee. They came here and they did a study. They did a study with biomarkers to see exactly what was the benefit of us having this healthy lifestyle that we have been promoting. Hello and welcome back to the page. I'm your host, Asherio Moore, the ambassador of the African Diaspora Collective right here in Israel. So they tried to tell us that the people who refer to incorrectly in the U.S. as African Americans are predisposed to certain ailments, certain diseases. There's nothing we can do about these things because this is just part of our genetic makeup. And unfortunately, these ailments are hereditary. So it makes sense to have a higher amount of people dying from cardiovascular diseases. It makes sense to have 30+% of our people dying from strokes. It makes sense that more than 50% of our people are obese. I mean, these are just things that are natural, they try and tell us. But I'm trying to understand if these things are natural, then why are they not happening also in the other communities, right? With the other peoples in the US, but specifically and only people of African ancestry in the US, who they refer to incorrectly as African American. But then we found out that here in Israel, the African Hebrew Israelite community hosted a group of doctors and medical students in 1998 from Meharry University and from Vanderbilt University. And what they found was actually incredible. Let's listen to the video first of all, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. On Perfect Health, we want to be able to also provide that model for other people, because when you look at the world today, you see that sickness and diseases are running rampant. And one thing that we did, and I want him to speak about that, we had a group of doctors come up to Israel to visit the community and to assess the lifestyle and the health practices. And I want, and he'll tell you better about, what did they find after coming up and assessing, our health. Yes, back in 1998, we had Vanderbilt University and Meharry University out of Tennessee. They came here and they did a study. They did a study with biomarkers to see exactly what was the benefit of us having this healthy lifestyle that we have been promoting for years, for about 30 years, in fact. So they did the basic studies of checking your heart rate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when they did the parameters and checked everything, they based their understanding on that. We came from a pool, the African American pool. We came from a pool that they said we were genetically predisposed to like renal disease, kidney failure, heart disease, liver problems, et cetera, et cetera. These were like our genetic predispositions. They didn't connect it up to a lifestyle, the lifestyle that we were given. They didn't connect it up to the diet, the food, but they said that we were genetically predisposed to that. But when they came and did tests on us, they found that that was not true, that we had reversed those changes. And in fact, these were like some of the earliest studies on a people of epigenetics, where they found that because of our lifestyle, that we were taken out of that Western American standard diet, the lifestyle of stress, et cetera, that we had actually changed our genetic expression. And so we didn't have the chronic ailments that our people that we left in America had and was experiencing daily that they still experience now. So we understood then that we were on the right path of putting ourselves in a protected spiritual environment, biological environment where we can focus on our health. So when he mentions about perfect health, when we speak of perfect health, what we're talking about is living in a state of existence where you're seeing a perpetuation of a healthy expression of your life, and you don't experience these chronic diseases that we were once subjected to.
Can you give me one popular tip that you guys, the Hebrew Israelites, use daily or weekly? Can you give me one something that you?
He can give you more than one.
I would like to definitely. But the popular one, give me the popular one.
Well, we have our high holy and sacred diet that includes 7 major supplements as part of the daily regimen. We're talking about kelp. We're talking about wheat germ. We're talking about fenugreek. We're talking about molasses, blackstrap molasses. We're talking about sesame seeds. We're talking about parsley. We're talking about these things that we take daily to help fortify our immune system.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So this is one example. These are our
daily
dietary supplements.
Women and men.
Right. Children. Yes, and it's even for our expecting mothers. They're on a particular diet, and when the children are of young age, very young, then we have the same dietary nutritional standards, but just at a dosage for them.
So why are these things so important? Because epigenetics says that your environment, your mental state, your food or health practices have a significant effect on your DNA markers. And so as a result of that, then that means that you can be able to change your environment, change your habits, and these things also in turn could be able to change your DNA. You can be able to reverse a lot of these things that they told us that we were predisposed to, and there's nothing we can do about those things. And the African Hebrew Israelite community in Dimona, Israel, have actually proven that to actually be true. Now, the environment that was created in Israel, in Dimona, is an environment that's built on fundamental principles like health, right? Like peace, like family, like unity, like justice. So all of these things having an environment is built on these fundamental principles. Of course, they're going to have an effect on your mental state, which in turn will have an effect on your physical condition, right? But not only that, it's also important, internally inside of the community, we have various institutions that are under certain ministries. So this was the Minister of Health who was actually speaking about these things. And so the Ministry of Health, like he was talking about the regiments, the daily regiments, they actually put together programs for us throughout the year to ensure that we're in alignment with whatever is necessary for those seasons to ensure that our body is operating at maximum capacity. Great model community for our people outside of Israel, wherever they may be in the world, of how to align ourselves with a healthy lifestyle, with a healthy environment, with institutions that are health-giving or that are life-giving institutions, as opposed to institutions that continue to suck the blood out of our people. An environment of people who are actually looking to work together for the betterment of the whole, as opposed to exploiting one another. And so many people who were born in a community, in Dimona, we haven't even been exposed to certain things like drive-by shootouts and rapes and all of these things that unfortunately are part and parcel of this environment outside the community. And so
Okay. Any feedback on that?
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, Brother Leonard. I don't know if that's the same community that I've never been to Israel. I will say that first, but I had wanted to visit. I had seen a Black community that once they moved to Israel, they were much younger. They didn't like go in the 60s or 48 after 1948, but once they got there, they were excluded from everything. They were allowed to live there. So they literally, like he's saying, had to build their own city within the city. They were discriminated against. But he did speak on that. They grow moringa and all these other things. And I really do believe in that clip that you're playing, that what we do or don't put in our body, what we do or refuse to do does make a difference on how things are expressed. I specifically know I have, myself included, family members that at one point in life had a lot of acne. There are certain things that if we use it on our skin, it will make us brighter, but it wouldn't matter to a white person. There's no melanin to lose. So even I've experienced that where yes, your genetics are your genetics, but things can make them worse or better. But that's just really important for us to remember to keep our bodies healthy.
Okay. Anybody else? Got any feedback on that? Okay. Then nobody else have any questions on that? We're gonna. Well, the reason why I played it was this is one of the reasons I said they want to say things and impose things on us, and the average person receive it. But the guy was showing how that the things that's happening to us over here, and what has happened to us is the reason why we in a lot of the health situations we in. But they proved over there that you take us out of that environment, then we like A1. So yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna open it up for questions, comments. Anybody have anything they came across in their studies? Anything they heard on this line and want to talk about?
Shalom. I wanted to go back to that clip. I also believe that people know that. And when I say people, not Israelites and definitely not children of Jacob in America, I think this type of stuff is taught in schools, where especially if you go into health, nursing, medicine, whatever, they teach people about the importance of talking to different cultures and people about food deserts. But unfortunately, our communities live in what people learn in school are food deserts, which is where there's not a store selling fresh produce. I mean, you can't go get broccoli or cabbage or fenugreek seeds or anything like that if all the only thing in your neighborhood is a Dollar General and a Dollar Tree.
Okay.
And that's been for years. So people know that. They get taught these type of things. There's a food desert in the middle of Kansas where I live, which happens to be where the Black community is. They specifically don't put stores where you can buy fresh produce.
Okay.
And I agree with the video. It's intentional. That's not what the video says, but it's intentional. When I look at it, it's intentional. You intentionally don't put stores that sell fresh produce. You make everybody buy chips, Twinkies, and canned food. To me, it's intentional.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I had a question in Jasher.
Okay.
About when this was about Joseph, and I just had a question about which angel this was that taught him the 70 languages. Because I'll read the verse real quick. And it's Jasher 49 and
Right.
13. What's this? 13, 14, and 15. because it says, and on that night, the Lord sent one of his ministering angels, and he came into the land of Egypt unto Joseph. And the angel of the Lord stood over Joseph, and behold, Joseph was lying in the bed at night in his master's house in the dungeon, for his master had put him back into the dungeon on account of his wife. And the angel roused him from his sleep, and Joseph rose up and stood up on his legs, and behold, the angel of the Lord was standing opposite to him. And the angel of the Lord spoke with Joseph, and he taught him all the languages of man in that night, and he called his name Jehoshaphat. And the angel of the Lord went from him, and Joseph returned and laid upon his bed, and Joseph was astonished at the vision he saw.
Okay, so when you go to let me get it. Go to verse chapter 9 of Daniel, verse 9, chapter 9, verse 20. It says, and while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sins and the sins of my people Israel, this Daniel talking, and presenting my supplications before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, right? Check it out what he do. The man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me, and he talked with me, and he said, I think this is the answer right here, I think. O Daniel, I have now come to give thee skill and understanding. So Gabriel is the angel of understanding. That's what he did. That's what he did with Joseph, right? Gave him understanding on those languages.
Yes, sir.
Skill and understanding. 23. At the beginning of the supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come now to show thee that thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. So I would say Gabriel.
Yes, sir. That and the reason why I asked that, Brother Leonard, because I read this a bunch of times, but you know how the verses stick out after you learn new things. And in verse 15, when I realized that this was a vision, that's what made me think it was Gabriel, because I think before this I had this in my notes that it was Michael, but in verse 15 it says, and the angel of the Lord went from him, and Joseph returned and lay upon his bed, and Joseph was astonished at the vision which he saw. And then that's what you just took me to in Daniel. So I had read this earlier, and I thought it was Gabriel today, and I was like, I'll go ahead and get confirmation. So yeah, so thank you.
Right. So if you go back to the verse before that, what did he say?
To the verse 14 says, and the angel roused him from his sleep, and Joseph rose up and stood up.
Keep going back. Keep going.
Verse 13. And on that night, the Lord sent one of his ministering.
Well, it ain't Michael. Michael the Lord. It can't be him.
Right.
So he sent one of those up. He sent one of those six. Which we know it's Gabriel. Right?
Yes, sir. That made perfect sense.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, anybody else got anything on any questions or comments? Anything they came across they want to talk about? Okay. So with that being said, I got let me play this right quick. I thought it was needed to be heard.
Between 6 and 7 billion US dollars.
That's what I was saying about what they doing with Jamaica. They want to round them up, like Pastor Manny said. So
damage, and Jamaica will only unlock about $250 million US in this first round of disaster funding, including the catastrophe bond. So how will we recover? I'm Kalila from Money Media, giving you money news for the Caribbean. Early estimates put the damages from Hurricane Melissa at 6 to 7 billion USD. That's about $1 trillion Jamaican dollars, which is about the amount that the government usually spends for the entire country in a normal year. It's also about 28 to 32% of GDP. That's about 1/3 of the country's national output. This means that 1 out of every $3 that this country earns has been wiped out. And with 2 major industries down, tourism and agriculture, and at least half the country still without power, our productive capacity and earnings are also going down. Now, for reference, Hurricane Beryl cost about $32 billion in damages when it hit in 2024. That's about 200 million USD. This makes Melissa at least 30 times worse than Beryl. Beryl affected the economy for about 2 quarters, 6 months-ish. Recovery from Melissa may take several years. According to Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Melissa's damage to the economy was also worse than the infamous Hurricane Gilbert, which tore through Jamaica in 1988. Now,
okay, so it's like listening to that, listening to the numbers, yeah. So it's like it's a dire situation. And like it's all set up when you understand what's going on. Okay. So with that being said, play this right quick. Okay.
Having a great day. We got a lot of stuff to get to today. But before I get to it, let me just say, New Jersey, go out there and vote. You got an election going on. Virginia, go out there and vote. You got an election going on. New York City, same thing. California, go vote. You got an election going on. So super important stuff. I hope everybody gets out there and goes to the polls if you haven't yet in those places. But there's a lot of stuff to dive into. So in just a second, we're going to talk about how the Pentagon is saying absolutely terrifying things. And they're saying that they reserve the right to commit the most egregious crime imaginable. So we're going to talk about that. It is ugly. Then we're going to go on to talk about how AI videos have reached a point now where something's got to be done, bro. We cannot just continue business as usual because they could just fool anybody, never mind gullible people. At this point, they could fool anybody. So we'll talk about that. We also have Ted Cruz goes after Nick Fuentes and regrets it immediately. We have Mossad admitting that in the same way they booby-trapped the pagers that blew up, that were supposed to kill Hezbollah members but got a lot of civilians too. They say they have all sorts of electronics booby-trapped all across the world, which is a terrifying thought. And we'll also get to, is Trump hiding a very serious medical condition, and what evidence is there to that effect? We got a lot of speculation going on, man. A lot of speculation, and we're going to dive into it. So you guys know the drill. Everybody, please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps out massively and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, this is real independent media. You'll never catch me talking to an advertiser or doing an ad read or talking to a billionaire or talking to a government or a PAC or anything like that. You guys made this show independent. So if you give $2 a month, it helps out a lot. $5 a month, it helps out a lot. Patreon link is below. You can also tip with that thanks button on YouTube, which is below me right now. Or you can support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. And also definitely go sub to Corin's World on YouTube, where we do live Kyle and Corin episodes every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's start with this here. The New Republic has sort of a terrifying new article out. And the title is the following: Trump boat bombings worsen as new horror shakes experts. Quote, alarm bells. Remember the Southern Command admiral who resigned 2 weeks ago? Well, Hill Republicans haven't heard from him, and they don't want to. So in other words, Republicans in Congress know, as a matter of fact, well, Trump's committing crimes. Hegseth is committing crimes. They're blowing up random innocent people on fishing boats. Everybody knows that. We all know that. We're not going to stop it. We're going to let them do whatever they want to do. And so the admiral who resigned, because obviously he's got some horror stories about the things they were asking him to do, which are wildly immoral and unethical and illegal, they're like, just shut the fuck up and go away. We don't want to think about you. We don't want to talk to you. We don't want to hear what you have to say, because he would be pissing in the punch bowl. He would be throwing a wrench into their plans of illegal regime change in Venezuela based on total lies. So this is what people need to understand. We've already hit the point where it's like George W. Bush with Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. No, he doesn't. That's a total lie. Everybody knows that's a lie. Now, here we are, decades later, it's one of the most laughable and egregious lies in American political history.
Same thing with the Christians in Nigeria.
Well, now we're seeing the same shit. Oh, Maduro is the head of this narco-terrorist gang. Meanwhile, if you go look at the numbers, literally no fentanyl comes from Venezuela. None of it. So they lied. They lied about that. They're also lying that these are drug smuggling boats. They don't even have enough gas to reach the U.S., and they're saying they're smuggling shit into the U.S. They'd have to refuel 20 times to get anything to the U.S. And there's also no evidence there's any drugs anywhere. They were literally using pictures, MAGA was, from 2012, showing drug boats going, huh, libs say these aren't fucking drug boats. No, you're showing a picture from 2012. The new boats that you're blowing up are all dinghy fishing boats, most of them Venezuelan, some of them Colombian, some from Trinidad and Tobago. But they, like, guys, I need you to understand, as crazy as you think it is, it's actually crazier. These are grown-ass men making the decision to murder random people in terror attacks in the Caribbean, and then they're covering it up. But it gets worse. Look at this. We're highlighting this from the New Republic article. This is very bad. Representative Adam Smith tells me that in briefings, Pentagon officials said they reserve the right to kill people who are, quote, affiliated with their list of narco-terror groups, but under questioning, they wouldn't define what affiliated means. So now let me read. This is directly from the article. The administration has designated drug cartels as terrorist organizations while claiming Trump has inherent constitutional authority to order the strikes to defend the country against attacks. But as legal experts note, this gives Trump the power to unilaterally execute civilians who are not in any meaningful sense akin to terrorist groups or waging war against the United States, with zero due process. Meanwhile, lots of evidence casts doubt on whether some of these people were even trafficking drugs to the United States in the first place. Smith said the official legal rationale offered in this week's Armed Services Committee briefing has gotten even more troubling. He said the administration officials claimed they now have the authority to bomb people who are merely affiliated with groups that Trump has designated as narco-terrorists. But under questioning, they refused to say what affiliated even means. They did not in any way, shape, manner, or form explain what the ceiling and floor are for affiliated, Smith told me. Theoretically, that could go beyond whether they're in the actual action of moving drugs. So this is terrifying. They're starting now with narco-terrorists. We say you're affiliated with narco-terrorists so they can kill whoever they want on the seas, claiming that. They're also going to do it when it comes to Antifa terrorists. If you're an Antifa terrorist in the US, if you're affiliated with Antifa terrorists, we don't have to define it. We don't have to prove anything. We're just going to kill you and then say Antifa terrorist. We're going to kill you and say narco terrorist or affiliated with narco terrorists. And they won't even say what affiliated means. Do you not understand? This 100% is Trump trying to give himself the power of a king. That's what it is. And so he can be judge, jury, and executioner, and you can't say shit back. You can't say shit back. You can't fucking assert your rights. You can't get in front of a judge. You can't prove your worth or your citizenship or anything. And this is what we've opened the door to now. This is.
You got a thing on that, AJ?
I mean, when I think about the fact that, like, he took away the police misconduct, like the database of police misconduct, and the fact he's a felon and running for president, well, he is the president, it sounds like the handsmaid's tale. Like it's all about to go loose right now. Like he's setting it up to have an excuse to just being able to unalive all kind of people that he already changed the decrees to be able to unalive regular citizens. Now he can just deem anybody a narco terrorist and bomb them. That's crazy.
Exactly. And ain't this the same playbook that they did with Hitler?
Right, exact same one.
Exact same playbook. Yeah. Anybody else got any feedback on that? You got anything, Michelle?
Shalom, sir. Shalom, everyone. No, sir, I don't. I just think we, better be prepared for what's going to happen. like I said, they already have a plan. We just don't know the plan. So we just have to stay prepared and don't be surprised. And I, agree with AJ because, we watch The Handmaid's Tale. You see a lot of that, what Trump is doing through that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
yes, sir. We just have to stay alert.
Okay.
Don't sleep on him. That's what I'm saying.
Don't be surprised.
Right.
Exactly.
And say, oh, I didn't know that was coming. Oh, I didn't know, he would do that or whatever. We're seeing everything he's doing right now. Like I told you Thursday, I think we talked about it, sir. He's not looking out for the people,
Right.
the American citizens.
Right.
It's all about their narrative.
Exactly. Right. And their objective is to destroy the system that was in place before he came in office.
Yes,
Mission
sir.
to destroy that. Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Right.
Anybody else got anything?
Oh, shalom, brother Leonard. In the women's class on Thursday, it was at the 54-minute mark. You was playing the clip, and I just thought it was interesting. Like it said in the clip you played, it said that Trump is ruling by decree, and like just anytime I hear that word, like my ears stand up. But by these executive orders that he keep putting out. Those executive orders, that's the law now, not the Constitution.
Exactly right. And then they try so hard to try to fool the American people. Like I said, they supposed to have a system in place where the judicial, what our founding fathers created, and they try to make like that's working, but they side right with them because look what they did with SNAP. They came out and said that they went against Trump and told him that he had to issue out the SNAP benefits. Then they come back and now they didn't rule. They decided with him. You know what I'm saying? So they trying to make it look like the system that's in place, the democratic system is in place, but it ain't. It's all one-sided, and they all got the same agenda. And that's to destroy what was in place before he came in office. They trying to destroy the system that got Obama in the White House and the system that got Biden in there. They want that gone. So yeah. And if a person don't understand that, then like I said, they lost because that's what they're doing. Okay, so with that being
Shalom. I wanted to say something on that decree, right? That AJ was talking about, and we discussed this about ICE, right? Look at what's going on with ICE. Everything ICE is doing is by decree. Is force. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you gotta, like I said, look at all of that. Sometimes we only apply a certain section of something when we need to apply the whole block. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like I said, you can't sleep on him. We're not looking at the foundation of how he got started at first to now where he's back in office. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They have a plan and they're really trying to push that plan.
Exactly.
And it's by force. Right.
It's working so far.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be cut off. Right. And then, like I said before, he couldn't get in there by himself. So that means they all working together. How can somebody with 32 felonies get back in the White House? So
exactly.
It's a whole system behind, like you said, white supremacy, all that at work. They all working together, but they're trying to make it look like it's it was done democratically.
Yes,
no,
sir.
It wasn't done democratically.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna go to Daniel. I started out reading it today, just earlier in this morning class, but I'm gonna go into it a little more now. I'm gonna expound on Daniel chapter 7, verse 24, because I was looking at that last night and then a little bit this morning. and then some things for jumping off the page. So here we go. I'm in Daniel chapter 7, okay, verse 24. It says, I'm gonna start at verse 1. Daniel 7 and verse 15, the interpretation. Daniel had a dream. Let's go. Okay, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Then you had a vision of the four beasts, right? And then you got the interpretation of it from Gabriel, or like we found out just now. 15, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and he made me know the interpretation of these things. Therefore, so like I was saying before, what you have to understand, and let me show it to you right quick, because people get discombobulated when it comes to this. So we know that Daniel is by the river, right? He by this river, and three angels came. One angel on the water, and one angel on each bank. That's the setting, all the way from 7 all the way to Daniel chapter 12. So he says in verse 15, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. Now I came near unto one of them that stood by me. So he's on one bank. It's an angel on one bank, it's an angel on another bank, and there's one angel standing in the middle of the river, Lord of hosts. So he says, I came near, so he went weak. He fell to the ground. And so now I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, he weak. And because the vision made him weak, and the vision of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and I asked him truth of all this. So he told me, made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. So you can't have nobody tell you there's no five beasts at the end of. He's telling you us right here. It's four beasts. That's it. We still in the four beasts right now. So it says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and the fourth beast, saints at the end of the fourth beast, saints, which is the Israelites, that's Daniel chapter 37, Ezekiel 37, when he resurrected our fathers out of the grave. Not us, our forefathers. This is what we promised our forefathers. They was going to be resurrected. He told Daniel that, let's read that right quick. So this is an example right here. He told Daniel, he says, let me get it. Chapter 12, he told Daniel in verse 10, chapter 12, verse 10, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. None of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that make a desert set up, there shall be 1,290 days. This, like I said, all this happened. Because this is talking about Antiochus. And the Epiphanes came and did the abomination and make it desolate. It's not in the future. Then 12, blessed be he that waiteth to come into the 1,300 105 and 30 days. But he talking to Daniel, go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, sleep, like the rest of our forefathers in Ezekiel 37. They sleep. Says, and thou shalt stand in thy lot. See that? At the end of days, that's Ezekiel 37. That's what all of them gonna do. He's gonna resurrect them in their lots. That's why when in Joshua, when they came out of Egypt, not only did they have the bones of Joseph, they had all their forefathers' bones. The whole time they was in the wilderness, they had those sepulchres, the bones of their fathers. Then finally, when they came into the land and Joshua divided up the land by lot, they planted them. They buried all of them in their lots. That's what Ezekiel 37, all that was done because of what they was told. They was going to be resurrected in the last days. They was going to judge the earth and those fallen angels. So this is an example right here, verse 13, chapter 12, talking to Daniel. Go thy way to the end, be, for thou shalt rest. You're going to die and stand in thy lot at the end of days. And then we saw Daniel said, we saw where David said the same thing. I'm gonna go to my rest and I'm gonna rise with your likeness. Same thing. So that's your two precepts. So anyway, we go back over here, and Daniel chapter 7. Then it says, then 7 and 19, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, right? The ancient four beasts, which were diverse from the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and break in pieces, and he stomped the residue with his feet. Now, this point, but like so many people get discombobulated. So he's talking about the four beasts. Then he says, not no five beasts, 20, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose looks were more stout than his fellows. So this the fourth beast, right? So we know that Alexander died, and 4 generals came up. His kingdom was divided into 4 parts. But this is telling you this the fourth beast. So the same thing happened in the fourth beast with Constantine. The beast that received the woman in the head is not a man, it's a system, the fourth beast. And it received the woman in the head, the Roman Empire got sacked. And it ended up being divided by 4 generals, same way with Alexander. So we know this the fourth beast. So this is Constantine. It says, and the mouth that's, okay, let's go back up. It says that whom 3 fell. That's when Constantine subdued the other 3 generals, even of that horn that had eyes and had a mouth and that spoke very great things, whose looks were more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn, Constantine, made war with the saints, and he prevailed against him. Like I say, the system we're dealing with right now, Constantine brought it into existence. They healed with the scriptures and all that. It's Constantine here. Okay? Started with Antiochus. Okay? 21. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, prevailed against them. And then until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. That's Ezekiel 37. Saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. What time? Ezekiel 37. The great shaking. Okay? 23. Thus he said, the 4th beast. So he's talking about the 4th beast. You can't go to the 3rd beast with Alexandria. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse. See that? From all the kingdom. And it shall devour the whole earth, and it shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Then 24. This is the verse I'm going to deal with. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings. It's the 4th beast. Are 10 kings that shall arise, right? 10 kings going to rise. And another shall arise after them. Check it out. So after the 10 kings come, another shall arise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. That's Constantine. So the 10 kings came before Constantine. See that? Read it again. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. That's Constantine all day long. 4 beasts. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, when you go and write and divide all that, let's do that. You'll see the same process. Like I said this morning, you see that you got 4 beasts, right? Well, first of all, we go back to Enoch. In the book of Enoch, the 4 angels were sent down to deal with those angels. When we see in Daniel chapter 11, we saw in the cloud 4 beasts, 4 angels in the cloud. Then we saw 4 angels that came down at the Tower of Babel. They looked down from heaven, they saw what was going on. So right here we see it's 4 beasts that's going to come upon the earth. Well, 3 of them got subdued. The fourth beast subdued the other 3. Same way with Alexander. He died. His 4 kings took over after him. Ptolemy subdued the other 3. Ptolemy became the greatest one. He was out of Egypt. That's how you get Serapis. So then you go to Closin. The Roman Empire was sacked by the giants. And it got divided into four kings. The kingdom was divided into 4 parts, 4 men. Closin subdued the other 3. But this, I want to show you this too. This crazy right here. So I'm in Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. Watch this. This is crazy. I was like, wow, it's crazy, man. So I'm in Daniel chapter 7. I'm gonna start at verse 1 and read to 7. It says, in the first year of Belteshazzar, right? This the last king in the Medes and Persian Empire. King of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and a vision on his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and he told the son of the matter. So he wrote it down. Then he wrote it down and talked about it, explained it. 2, Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon a great sea. 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from the other. Then he said, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, and I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and it made to stand upon the earth, stand upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given it. So this, I want to shine a light on this before I go forward. So this ain't the first time this happened. So he talked about Nebuchadnezzar. He turned Nebuchadnezzar, he sent Nebuchadnezzar in the field and turned him into a beast for 7 years, 6 years, and he came back on 7 years. But it's a man, right? So it's the same thing what we see. Let's keep going. I got lost my train of thought. 5, and behold, another beast. So right here we see, just like in Revelation, this way I told you about the typology. The first was like a beast. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, and I beheld the wings thereof. The wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and he had stand upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given it. So this is the same thing with the Isaiah, the king of Tyre. Same thing we looking at right here. Same thing with the king of Tyre. And I behold another beast, a second, like a bear, and it raised upon itself one on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth. 3 ribs in its mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said, thus, arise, devour much flesh. And after this I beheld, and lo, another beast like a leopard, which had upon the backs of its 4 wings of a fowl, and a beast also 4 heads, and the dominion was given unto it. This is the 3rd beast, the Greeks. Now here you go, what I want to shine a light on. After this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast. Okay, this is the 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured the beast. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stomped the residue with its feet, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. They go to 10 horns. It's 10 horns in the 4th beast. So this is the first beast. Go to Revelation. There's 2 beasts in Revelation. But this is where in Revelation, they get it from right here. I'll read 7 again. After this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, the 4th beast, dreadful, terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stomped the residue with its feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Now here you go. 8. This is going to take you right there, Revelation. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn. See that? A little horn. Same thing in Revelation. 2 beasts in Revelation. They got it from right here. So anyway, I considered the horn. So you got the 4 beasts is the first beast, and the second beast is right here. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3, and of the first horn plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. And I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, and whose garment was like as snow, and the eyes of his head, the hairs of his head were like pure wool, and his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning flame. So we see right here, it's 2 beasts, the 4th beast, and then the second beast, the little horn, which is Antiochus. Not Antiochus, but Constantine. And so let's go to Revelation right quick. Show you what I'm talking about. So this is, they had to concoct Revelations after they concocted JC to keep the lie going. So let's look at it. Okay. Here you go. I'm in chapter 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sands of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns. This is the same beast right here. It's in Daniel. And upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was likened unto a leopard, and his feet were as a bear. So these the first 3 right here. The 4 beasts subdued the first 3, right? And this 4th beast got all the characteristics of the first 3. Verse 2, the beast which I saw was like a leopard, that's the Greeks, and he had feet which were as a bear, that's the Medes and Persians, and his mouth was as the mouth of a lion, that's the Babylonians. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death. This is when the Roman Empire got destroyed. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave the power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is likened unto the beast? Who was able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things. Like I said, it's Constantine, but this is just a concoction right here. Say, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue for 42 months. And he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God, and he blasphemed his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given unto him over all kindred and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the face, upon the earth, shall worship him whose name was not known, was not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword, all this come out of the Old Testament, right? And be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith and the faith of the saints. Okay, now here we go. Verse 11. And I behold another beast. See that? Same thing in Daniel chapter 7. 2 beasts. The 2 beasts that's in Daniel is the 4 beasts and Constantine. And then he came over here and concocted it again. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. And he executed all the power of the first beast before him, and he causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And so me looking at that, if you go back, like I told you, they took out. We got the prophecy that the vision and interpretation of what was going to happen, but we don't see it unfolding. This it right here. But they put it over here like it's got to do with, it's attached to the end time like the tied to JC. But this is what Daniel in chapter 7 is prophesying about, and this right here, it already came to pass. But they didn't put it over here like it's gonna come to pass. When you look at this, like I said, on your own time, go look at what I just read, chapter 7, and look at the two beasts in Daniel chapter 7 and the two beasts right here. You'll see it. Okay. With that being said, anybody got a comment, a question? Everybody good?
Yes. Shalom, Brother Leonard. I was watching a video earlier. It was actually a video on you. You was on another show a few years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, and on there, and you were where you was trying to break this down. But the guy had asked, though, he said, a lot of in Daniel sounds like Revelation. So is Daniel legit? And so what's your answer to that, Brother Leonard? Because what you just broke down was that they copy Revelations from Daniel, but he was saying that since Revelation has the same information Daniel has, that is Daniel valid, and that doesn't make sense to me. But
Yeah, no, that's what I say. That's the reason why I was trying to maintain my composure, but I already sensed that he already had issue with me from Jump Street anyway. So I just went all the way in on it because if you have any kind of recollection of the scriptures of the Old Testament and what has happened, it's no way you're gonna Daniel, the Old Testament supersedes the New Testament. Okay,
right,
so
agree.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it supersedes the New Testament, and that's how we've been brainwashed because they got hotel records. We was cast out of the land, and they had our records, and they did what they wanted to them. Hoodwinked them. That's why it was mandatory to get us out of the land. So you can't have Israelites there, and you trying to tell them about their own history, and they standing right there. So they had to get us out, and then they had to, where it was the Lord of Hosts was behind it. He blinded us, took our history and our knowledge away from us and our history. That was the only way the world was to continue to go on the way that it did. We had to be blinded because there's no way we would have existed over here without history and the tenacity and the knowledge and the power that we possessed that was given us. So we had to be denigrated in order to serve this sentence over here in the West. But now that we getting that power back, it's changing everything. And so, like I said, you can't. I mean, it don't even make any sense. You got a book, but the first of the book is not legitimate, but the back of the book legitimate. The back of the book is feeding off of the front of the book, but how the back of the book, how you gonna denigrate the front of the book because of something that was wrote in the back of the book? It don't make no sense. Did that answer your question?
Right. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So.
Shalom. Brother Leonard, what you've went over today, does any of that does it come up in the book of Enoch in chapter, I think it's 90, with the blind sheep at the day of judgment, more specifically, not the
I got to look at that, but I'm thinking that what Enoch, Enoch, it says Enoch is the son of man. He had Michael to proclaim that over Enoch, that he was the son of man, and that righteousness belonged unto him, and everything that happens that's going to take place on the earth was given to Enoch.
Yes, sir. And it,
So,
oh man, Enoch is just so much because it, like you said, he knows basically everything from the flood all the way down to the times
right.
we're in right now. But I guess my question was with the kind of like what you talked about with the four beasts in chapter 9, or 90, excuse me, not 9. In chapter 90, it talks about how there's an angel that's keeping record of like 70 shepherds that the sheep were given to, but it reads like these are, how do I say this, evil spirits and not living, but controlling and taking out all this judgment on our people before our eyes are open. And it talks about blind sheep and how they're being pecked away and devoured by eagles and ravens and kites. Is that all before this time, or does that include this time? Because then it goes on to talk about sheep's eyes being opened.
Right, that's the 70 angels in Daniel chapter 11. After the Tower of Babel, the earth was divided up by those 70 angels. That's what that is. And then Michael was given Mount Zion. And then we see in chapter 10 of Daniel, Gabriel told him, I had to fight with the prince of Persia. So that's an angel. That's an angel that was given power over Persia. Then he said after that, the prince, which is an angel, fallen angel, over Greece. So it's an angel over each one of those beasts. And so where did they get their authority from when he divided the earth up? The 70 angels.
Okay.
So that's what that's talking about. And AJ had mentioned earlier too about Gabriel had to come to Daniel and teach him how to speak 70 languages. Same thing with that. Those languages came from the fallen angels. Like I was saying, people don't really connect the dots on that. But if a man, David got a house, Abraham got a house, Jeremiah got a house. If all of them got a house, how much more greater is the house that these angels got when it comes to might and power? Because they having giants. Okay, let that from me. Okay, so anybody got anything else? Everybody good? Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna see everybody tomorrow. We got our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. It starts at 5 p.m. Central Time, and normally lasts about an hour and a half. So until tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time, I'll see everybody. Shalom, shalom, and love, shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.